You might recall several years ago, a group of Los Angeles teenagers were arrested for stealing pricey clothes and jewelry from celebrity homes. Their amateur enterprise, the Bling Ring, is now a film opening in theaters tomorrow. Jared Bowen recently spoke with one of its young stars, Katie Chang.
Girls, time for your Adderall.
In the Bling Ring, it's the age of innocence, lost. Based on a true story, the film centers on a group of Los Angeles teenagers who break into the homes of celebrities. They see what they want to be, and they take it. They're casualties of a celebrity culture.
I see it a lot. I mean, in myself sometimes, in my siblings, my friends, the people I went to high school with. You know, celebrity lifestyle, it seems to make your own life pale in comparison.
Recent high school graduate Katie Chang makes her film debut as Rebecca, the startling, aloof Bling Ring leader.
She was just a really simple teenage girl who had a lot of self-consciousness and really lacked any real sense of self-worth, I guess. And that led her to believe that if she was a part of the Hollywood lifestyle, if she was looked up to by people, then maybe her life would have worth and she wouldn't feel so bad about herself.
Written and directed by Sofia Coppola, the film is accessorized in a gritty, sexy allure as the teens ramp up their robbery rounds, hitting the homes of celebrities like Paris Hilton, who allowed the production to film in her actual home.
What about being actually in Paris Hilton's house?
That was amazing. It was really cool to be there. We're just like walking around into each room and being amazed at everything that we were seeing. But at the same time, it wasn't so shocking because it was like, yeah, this is where Paris Hilton would live. This is what her house would look like.
That, in large measure, is the success of the film, feeling the zeal of the steal and the allure of the voyeur. And to make sure her cast felt it too, Coppola had them stage a mock late-night break-in.
Did you get sort of a thrill?
Yeah, totally. I mean, we all went into it trying to be really heisty and, you know, James Bondy almost like. But we got in there and we ended up having so much fun and we were so loud.
Ladies? He looks hot.
It was fun to realize that these kids were just having fun when they were breaking in to these houses. They weren't trying to pull off a huge heist.
But they did pull back the curtain on Generation Why Not?
So cute.
All right, and Jared Bowen was here. So whatever happened to the kids? Were they convicted?
Many of them were. Many of them were incarcerated. Because,
really?
I mean, this was a pretty big enterprise, and they really were doing it for fairly frivolous reasons. And I mean, this is why I so enjoyed this movie, because it's such a commentary on our culture right now. I think it's based on a Vanity Fair piece, and the way Sofia Coppola directs it. First of all, as an audience member, you're completely complicit because you sort of want to see them get into these homes, and you enjoy their enjoying trying on the clothes, looking at the jewelry, going through drawers. Orlando Bloom was another victim, so they pull out all these watches that he had, and you yourself can't help but looking around Paris Hilton's home and sort of enjoy being in there. And it totally is part of this culture that we've created.
How did they bypass security systems? How did this work?
Well, that's what's so interesting, and this is another commentary on the age that we're in, that first of all, they used the internet to get into all these homes because they figured out when celebrities were at film festivals or when they were out of town, so they knew how to break into their homes, and they knew their addresses by going on Google Earth and looking up that way. And then the funny part is, maybe because a lot of these celebrities are in gated communities, but in the case of several of them, including, I think, Paris Hilton, they left the key under the mat.
Oh, yeah.
So that's how they got in the house.
That's my trick, too.
Nice. Why don't you just tell everybody?
So, and Katie Chang, she was absolutely new to this?
Completely new, and I feel bad. The poor thing, her voice was so hoarse because we caught her at the end of her press tour. But she's a Chicago high school student. She just graduated. She's going to Columbia in the fall.
Right, isn't she cute? So, sad news last night. It was actually shocking because we were just talking about James Gandolfini. Last night I was talking about him. Maybe he should play John Martorano in the Whitey film, but he died suddenly. It was such a shock.
Well, and this is such a tremendous shock because he is, I know you don't like this word, but it applies here. He is an iconic figure because he created this iconic character. And I think what people feel, first of all, they related because it was such a powerful show and he was so powerful in it. But you could also appreciate what a tremendous actor he was because he's somebody who, you know, did so well as Tony Soprano, but could also move on to these other roles afterward,
really?
Where he moved on to comedies. movies. I mean, one of his roles, not many people are talking about today, but in this film called The Mexican, which wasn't a very good film starring Brad Pitt, he played a gay hitman. And so he was able to do that. He was able to do comedy. And I think, you know, we're learning more about his personality and how he was relatively shy and a little bit retreating. So I think it lends more to how he was able to inhabit these different characters without being the ferocious animal that was Tony Soprano.
Yeah, I guess I was just surprised it was such a big news story, you know, today that so much. And it was all about The Sopranos.
Well, and I think it's because it was such great storytelling that you couldn't help but be absorbed by it. So these characters were your characters, and we always talk about how if you see something in your living room, it is sort of yours. It's different from going to a movie theater. There's a sense of detachment. But if you're watching a show, you know these people, and there were these great story arcs, and there were layer upon layer upon layer that you could invest yourself in, and to now lose somebody who you felt you knew so well, and I think at such a young age, 51, is just, it's really heartbreaking. I don't think I was very surprised by the reaction that came out today. And I'm somebody who watched every last episode of The Sopranos.
Yeah, I didn't. I was in and out of there was actually a little bit too violent for me, and I liked some violence, but I thought it was, maybe for that reason, it was in my home and it was so personal. You know, if it's at the movies, you know, it's not quite so shocking, but yeah, it was. I don't know if I wanted to subject myself to that on a Sunday night. So I was in and out of it.
And you have to remember how many years ago that was. I mean, so this was sort of at the advent. I mean, this changed television in some regard.